You know what time it is.
Tea time.
Yeah, it's tea time.
It's tea time.
So, spoilers. We had lunch. We're good to go. Let's drink some tea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, funnily enough, we are drinking tea that is almost 20 years old anyway.
It's true.
So,
yeah.
But, a tea like this maybe could still be a little harsh on the stomach if you really do have an empty stomach, which we definitely did. So.
Man, the patina on that pot is fantastic.
So shout outs to Vien Tien Grocery of Seattle for some very tasty Laotian food. Always hits the spot.
Very good. Would recommend. Spicy sausage.
Yeah.
Must buy.
And I think one of these days we're going to do a dim sum episode. Maybe next time. I'll have to talk to you.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. So we are doing some 2004 Yiwu Malaysia stored, I believe, brick. So this one comes courtesy of a group buy, I think from last year. That our time just goes by really fast. From Zealousy. So thank you to Zealousy for the opportunity. I've only had this tea once, and it's been a while. But yeah, you can fuck around it there. There you are. So kind of a anonymous, basically no-name value Yiwu brick. So as a result, I don't remember exactly the price I got this for, but it was pretty reasonable, if I recall correctly.
Not iron pressed, but nice and firmly pressed. Nice color. Definitely can see the happy age on the leaves. It's almost like a powder, like a dust. So, looking forward to this, because Yiwus, in general, tend to be most delicious, or at least drank most regularly when they're fresh and young.
Yep.
So, this old Yiwu will be interesting.
Yep. And I mean, they can also be tasty, but it's like another era of Yiwu. Yiwus these days are normally kind of like these fancy boutique-y type brands and stuff like that. And you can just look at this and tell it's not from that same era.
Smells potent.
Yeah.
It's a little fruity.
And we'll keep these steeps nice and short while we fill the tea.
How did you get involved in this group buy?
I was messaged by Zealousy, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sorry.
Made it easy.
Tough luck, everybody.
It's also a wild card. But yeah, really nice color here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you got messaged by Zealousy for a group buy, sign up. Well, unless this sucks in that case. Good use of my funds.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, can I get a refund? Just like that delivery that never came.
Beautiful red color, much darker than the initial rinse you expect. In terms of the ratios and things like that, James, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I think about 1 gram per every 15 milliliters or so. So this is like 90-95. I think I underdid it slightly. I'm probably at like 5.5 grams or so.
Got
it. But these sorts of teas you can really adjust your brewing depending on the strength that you prefer.
Cheerio.
Ha. Yeah. All the way down the hatch. Curious.
Very curious. Very dynamic.
Yeah, I think this is one that's going to take a couple steeps to really get the feel for. Compared to what we've been drinking, it's very much not soft in that same way, but it does kind of have that same darker, predominantly woody taste to it. But it's not sweet at all, at least not in this initial.
No. Yeah, maybe just like a whisper of sweetness at the end of it. Maybe a little bit of like a lemon zest rather, sort of hint of a citrus thing at the end of it. a lot of like deeper mineral-y kind of flavors. Yeah, not sweet
Yeah.
at all. Not bitter, though. Not really.
No.
I might get there. Pretty
And
light.
I am brewing these a little harder than I intend, partly just because my pot keeps getting stuck. So I wanted to tread a little lighter, but you know, it is what it is.
It's funny. I'm sure like people who don't know the show would see me sitting here being like, well, and you know, he must not be enjoying himself. These are like the teas that it's not that I enjoy them the most categorically, but they're certainly really interesting.
Yeah.
It's hard to place.
Yeah. I mean, this tea too, it's sort of like in a interesting place because the storage has been strong, but not that strong. So it's not like it's the same as like Hong Kong traditional storage where it's like very softened and smoothed out. So this one's kind of one where you're sort of feeling it out. You're trying to determine, hey, is this actually ready to drink? Does this need more time and stuff like that? Color-wise, it looks certainly pretty aged, but I mean, taste-wise, I would like it to be a little softer and a little sweeter, personally.
Yeah, that's interesting. What is the age on this? What's the year?
2004, so 19 years old. This one's a little softer for me. Get some creaminess to it. I'd say still the dominant note is kind of like this very woody kind of base note to it. It's not quite as bassy as either the ripe that we had a couple episodes ago or, of course, the 1970s Liu Bao. But all teas are different kind of like tenors of woody.
Yeah, totally. This tastes younger than it is to me, which I'm kind of surprised by. It's thin. It's not super velvety. Yeah.
Yes, it's certainly not as like thick, oily like the Liu Bao we had.
Juicy, some fruit stuff going on. It's not super peaty.
Astringent?
Not like maybe a little bit. I don't think, to your point, I think it needs more time too, but I don't think it's to age out the astringency or the bitterness or anything like that. I think that part of it's pretty fine. Yeah, just like to take the edge off a little bit of the sharpness. I mean, I'm having a hard time placing that sharpness, and then also just kind of bolstering some of those like earthier, deeper flavors. Definitely interesting. I'm not sure that I love it at this point in its life cycle. And I will say with confidence that if someone served this to me blind, I'd be super confused. It defies a lot of the kind of typical categories and categorization that I would think of based on the attributes of this tea.
You probably, I think it'd be hard to peg this as an Yiwu.
I would never give it to be. Yeah, it's not sweet at all. There's not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's like this tea's marketed as Yiwu. It wouldn't be shocking if it was like partly Yiwu rather than like exclusively. But you know, processing has changed a lot too, and it's like stuff like this versus like more of a boutique modern brand. It's like processing is pretty night and day.
Yeah.
So
it's really clean. The liqueur itself is really beautiful. It's like, I don't know how to describe it. All right, onward. Salute.
cheerio out. I think it's getting better personally.
Yeah, sweeter.
Steep, I think it's a little better.
Some more body. I wonder if this tea needs just a lot of time to get going.
Now it's like very mineral-y for me too.
Yeah.
And I can feel like sort of like that basiness is lifting a little bit and it's moving a little up to the higher registers. Not a ton, but just a little bit. Yeah. Interesting. I get more like chocolatey notes to it now. Still not very sweet at all.
No.
So in that sense, I still don't think I would peg this tea as an Yiwu, but
Yeah.
it's a very interesting profile. Personally, for me, I would like to see more sweetness, not necessarily even in the taste, but maybe in the aftertaste, something like that.
Yeah, it is young. I'm so confused.
So we'll do one last one.
Yeah. This is, yeah, almost grassy. It has, it has a yerba mate flavor to it.
Huh. I can actually see that.
It has a kind of like dried grass, a little bit of sweetness, a lot of earthiness.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of like the Pu'erh equivalent of yerba mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The age can't tell. The age is throwing me as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this episode should be sponsored by yerba mate.
Yes.
Just like last one was sponsored by the Beat Lovers.
Yes. Yes. This is a yerba mate. Proudly sponsored by a Bush. And
shout outs to Argentina.
Yeah. Salud. I think this was just a slow mover.
Yeah. Should we do one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is interesting because it's getting juicier, a little bit more bitter. One of the most dynamic teas. This really has changed steeping to steeping quite a bit.
Yeah.
Hints of sweetness now, but with its bitterness.
It also seems like it's sort of tea that will have, maybe not amazing endurance, but pretty good endurance.
Yeah. Does this need more time?
I think so.
Yeah, but then it's like some of the flavors are sort of faint.
Yeah. I feel like this is a little awkward in its phase.
Yeah.
And it is possible that you could age this longer and maybe it becomes more mediocre, but I would personally, if this were me, I don't think it's in a state that I would love to drink it, and I would probably take the gamble on aging it a bit more.
It's almost an underripened nectarine flavor to this. Subtle.
Sort of like picked too soon.
Yeah, like a crunchy, if you pick a crunchy nectarine and eat it, you're like, ah, damn it, I'm committed to this. That's
sounds like something that's happened to you.
Preview of my life.
This episode has not been sponsored by the Nectarine Association of America.
There's this. The sweetness on this is so interesting. It is so delayed for me. It's like the first 90% of the taste profile is not sweet at all, and then it's just like this, kind of jolt of sweetness at the end of it.
Yeah,
very uncommon. I think there's promise here. I think there's something here. I agree. I think it's not quite ready yet. It's almost a bit of acrid kind of thing at the end of it.
Right. It's not a bad tea. I mean, I think it's a good tea, but it's at a weird place,
right,
at least for me. And I could see it having been at this sort of weird crossroads for a while now. I would have. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be an interesting one to retry in maybe 5 years.
It tastes much greener to me now.
And do you like that?
Not especially. Okay. Not without. So it can be good if it's also accompanied with notes that make it soft or more palatable. This one just has kind of it just tastes young.
Yeah.
I think it just needs more time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but Malaysian sword, I would expect this to be a little bit farther along.
True. And it's hard to say what type of Malaysian sword this had. Right. It could have had been upstairs in a room with AC, and maybe that's a little more mild. Right. I mean, it's certainly been darkened with age.
Yeah.
But it's not really dank. I'd say it's a pretty clean profile overall. But yeah, just kind of at a weird point, I think.
Yeah. There is now this very noticeable sweetness to it, but accompanying with that some bitterness, definitely. Yeah.
So Yeah, I can't decide on this tea whether it's like, it should be given up on. Maybe this is as good as it's going to get, or if this is something that in 5 years or 10 years would be better. It's just
tasting it would tell. Duh. I think I would probably also agree that it needs at least 5 years to wait on it.
Yeah.
And then after that, again, hard to say.
Yeah. I think I lean towards this could improve. It just has a little bit of enough of that sharpness that I think if you just smooth those edges out. And I don't love the grassiness. That's the part that I do find a little concerning because it's a little weird for a 19-year-old tea to have that note. Mm-hmm. And personally, I don't really care for that note either. I think that's like maybe the main thing that's like a little putting me off. But it does have some structural elements that make me think that it's like pretty good too.
It's so strange. The nose is very peach yerba mate. And then like in the cup, it's pretty different and interesting. Excuse me. I don't know if I would say this is a pickup. Definitely a interesting group buy.
Sure.
I think it does need time. Maybe we can revisit this in 1,000 episodes or whatever the hell we'll be at some point. Interesting. Always good to bring teas on like this on the show, I think.
Absolutely.
Just to experiment and see how things progress. Tough luck to you dudes who can't be in the group buy. Oh my god.
I'm auditioning for some kung fu films.
Got it.
Practicing my dubbing. Just imagine that on like a Chinese guy, full Chinese guy with a white beard. I think I nailed it.
I think you did nail it, actually. Yeah, the nose I almost like better than the taste. Interesting. Okay, well, this has certainly been an experimental episode of TDB. If you like TDB, if you want to keep watching it, subscribe. Go to tdb.org. There's a bajillion words of written content. ChatGPT has probably mined our website, and everything that you learn from ChatGPT is actually from James. ChatGPT. And yeah, check this out. Try some stuff. This is one of those teas that I think I would sort of like expect in a sample from Yunnan Sourcing of just like a ton of random stuff I got.
Yeah, I could see that.
And yeah, like I'm confused, but in an interesting and good way.
Yeah, it's good to be befuddled on episode 461.
Yes, and so with that, we'll see you tea people next time.
Ciao.